Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior? Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNRadio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNRadio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNRadio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNRadio.
Are you ready to reach for the stars? Tune in to The Lost Wanderer, the #1 monthly podcast on good pods in astronomy. Join our host, Jeff, as he takes you on an interstellar adventure to explore the mysteries of space and the wonders of science. From rocket launches and distant galaxies to the latest discoveries in astronomy, each episode is a thrilling ride through the cosmos. Don't just gaze at the stars. Come explore the universe with us. Follow The Lost Wanderer wherever you get your podcasts, and let's discover the stars together.
My dad was really, really special, and I loved my dad a lot.
I'm proud of him, and that even though he isn't here with us, but he died as a true hero.
I miss everything about him.
In the moment that the officers and I had to come see the children, my biggest reaction was, I don't have 7 arms. I have 7 children who just lost their father, and I don't have 7 arms to wrap around them.
I'm Frank Silla, chairman of the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation is committed to delivering mortgage-free homes for Gold Star families and fallen first responder families.
To not have to worry financially is a huge peace of mind. The thought of, what in the world will I possibly do to pay the bills? How will I possibly let the children have a life that feels normal? I don't want them to have to quit their piano lessons or their basketball. I don't want them to feel that we have to move into a little apartment and struggle financially in addition to the emotional weight.
There are over 1,000 families that need our help. Tunnel to Towers is honoring those heroes that risked their lives by providing them with mortgage-free homes.
Those who serve us and then lay down their lives protecting our freedoms and our safety, the least we can do is $11 a month to give them that peace of always knowing there's a home, there's that sanctuary when life feels like it's been tipped upside down, because it has. When you lose a parent in the line of duty, to know you can go home, you can be safe, there's no risk of losing your home. That's a peace of mind that I can't believe you can get for $11 a month.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
Please donate $11 a month by calling 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our government was established to secure these rights and for the good that comes from exercising them well. This is why the founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding. Because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire. Hillsdale College, pursuing truth and defending liberty since 1844.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo?
You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNRadio.com Ad Council.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
It's the Dude Bro Show. Fucking A shit. Dude Bro. Dude Bro Show.
Can you see me?
Titties and beer. Titties and beer. Dude Bro Show. Fuck yeah. Unsupervised. Oh shit. Dude Bro Show, fucking hey, yeah, coming at you live, fuck yeah.
All right. Well, apparently we ran John off.
That's a hell of an intro.
As you can tell, that is a Mickey Blowtorch original.
I like it. I think I'm going to add that to my playlist on YouTube and all.
Oh, but yeah, so welcome into a very special Dude Bro. Supposed to be a Dude Bro going mental crossover. I think John was having a tech issue though, so let's see if he fixed it. If I can make it work. Okay, I think we have it again now.
All right, bet.
Woohoo!
Yo.
I thought the intro scared you away. I wouldn't have been surprised.
No, let me fix my lights here. Hang on.
Apparently, John likes it dark.
Oh. How's that?
Much
you
better.
look good on our end, brother.
Not my best. I was going to try to get my good camera set up, but that would have been a 10-minute ADD meltdown, so I'm going to just keep it like this.
I just roll with this one. Like I said, if you ever decide it doesn't look good enough, you can just turn it back off. It's okay. We don't usually do cameras, but I figured with EJ coming on.
Yeah, you know, I don't mind the camera. Camera minds me, I guess, but
DJ's dark in the shadows there too. That's good.
yeah. Well, I try. I got the kitchen lights on, or the dining room, and the big light on. So I tried to put a little lamp there, so it gives me that spooky appearance.
Yeah, my studio has fluorescence, so I don't need a ring light or anything. It takes care of it for me.
One of these days, I'll invest in one because I'm cheap and about getting into new technology.
Yeah, says the guy who just told me how much he spent on golf tournaments.
Yeah, right. Oh, I'll spend on golf because that's my thing. But all right,
trust me.
I'll go out and buy a ring light. Hello, Amazon.
I was looking at your page. What do you like? You were semi-pro there or pro?
No. It's actually it's an amateur tour that I play on. I've played on for the last 5 years and been pretty successful. 21 wins in 5 seasons. Not a lot of great competition, but I've done well. We'll see what happens this coming season.
What's your hand?
Let's see. The last index was 18.6.
It's better than me.
Well, and I'm forced to only play twice, just on the weekends. I don't have time to get out during the week.
Yeah, no, it's good to have that kind of structure with it.
Yeah, so I played on a tour for 5 years and then got into running it this year up here in Milwaukee. We're part of 47 different tours around the country, so it's a pretty big production. But just doing the Milwaukee events here, and occasionally I'll go down to Chicago and play in events down there. I've gone over to St. Louis, gone over to Minneapolis, over to Michigan, went down to a regional in French Lick this year, going to Akron next year for a tournament there at Firestone. Looking forward to that. And
oh, nice.
Just a couple of weeks ago, got back from 2 wonderful weeks down in Hilton Head, South Carolina.
I was in Hilton Head not long ago. Yeah, they got some really pretty courses there.
Oh, they do. And lots of big gators.
Yeah.
Lots of big gators.
Yeah, my brother-in-law just did a golf trip there with he's very serious about it. And they all, they travel around doing that shit. But yeah, I'm South Florida, so we got the gators.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm used to the alligator part, but Hilton Head's great. It's changed a lot. We used to go when we were kids.
Yeah, it's a completely different vibe, and I found the best margarita bar in the world there. So shout out to Pool Bar Jim's. Lord knows, 2 weeks I spent probably about $650.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's wild.
All right. Well, since everybody's throwing out their handicaps, I guess I might as well throw out mine. Mine's pretty easy. Do you sell spaghetti? I like spaghetti. Yay! There's my handicap.
I was just talking to someone about there's places you go as a kid. Savannah's another one, but it's like I can't tell when I'm in these places if it's that they've changed so much or just that I've changed because I'm old now. It's like, am I just seeing it differently through an adult's eyes, or is this place really much different? But I think a lot of those places have just changed.
It's probably more the first one, but a little bit of the second one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I go back to the neighborhood that I home, I get that same feeling that wow, things have changed so much. And
my hometown fucking changed so much. But yeah, same thing. I'm like, has it? But yeah, I guess it really has. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I drive back to the around the neighborhood in the area where my parents bought the house that I lived in forever when I was 3, and I don't recognize it anymore. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that's been built up all around it. It's all gentrified now, and I'm just like, I don't like it. This is why I live in the middle of nowhere. I'm going back.
I grew up in a tavern, so we owned a bar in Elko, Wisconsin, and when we first bought the place, it was just a little rectangular little thing with a couple of small little living quarters. My dad bought a trailer house, moved it to the side of the bar, and my sister and I basically lived in the trailer portion. And then eventually decided to connect everything. So built a walkway in between the bar and the trailer. And then eventually we re-sided everything all the way around, put a big roof over the trailer. And now when I go back up there, the folks that own the tavern now bought the laundromat that was next door and then turned that into a big giant dining room. And so the place just looks completely different. It was funny. Last time I walked into the bar and I went and had a beer and I was talking to the owner behind the bar and he said, "You want to buy it back?" I said, "No."
Yeah.
We'll sell it. No.
No. I'm good. I don't need to be buying a bar.
Hey, I was looking. When I gone back home this last time. I'm from Lynchburg, Virginia. I like to go to on a previous trip. I had gone into one of the houses I grew up in, but my main house that I lived in as a kid, I hadn't been back inside it since I was a little kid. And I had tried once, and the lady was like, "Ah, I'm not comfortable. My husband's not here, or whatever." I felt like a creep. But years later, this last trip, I gave it another shot, and they did let me take a look around in there. And yeah, part of me was like, I want to buy this place and just live here again. There's something to that, buying back your old childhood home, and just so pretty there. I'm in Florida. It's just so much prettier in Central Virginia.
Yeah, I've only been to
And no
the
gators.
Jacksonville area in Florida.
Yeah, South Florida is a different world for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I miss it. The Blue Ridge area. So that'll always be the prettiest spot to me.
John's feeling nostalgic for home.
I get so like I'm the worst with nostalgia for real.
I like where I'm at now. I mean, I'm close enough to Milwaukee where if I want to go to a game or something, I can do it. And living up north where there's literally nothing of nothing up there, it's just, yeah, no, I'm happy where I'm at because I'm still kind of then connected to a lot of the action area, but I don't have to go totally into Milwaukee. I just I can just hit the periphery and be able to go to some stuff, and I'm only a 2-hour drive from Green Bay, so if I go up to here we go, Packer game. Gotta represent my team. It's a 2-hour drive to Green Bay, and that's not a big problem. That's changed. That whole area has changed now from when I went to my first game in 1970 to what it looks like now. It's amazing how that's changed.
Yes, the corporate shit. And yeah, Rick, there's a feeling I get in my hometown that I can't get anywhere. It's just like there's a magic to even just walking around there. But I think it's because I left as like a teenager too, so it just kind of stuck in this time capsule for me. That feeling.
Yeah, I think that's probably why I don't have that because so I left. I mean, I actually stayed in my hometown pretty much right until we
Right.
bought this place. But at one point, I even moved back into the home that I grew up in, and we were going to buy it for my mom until my mom kind of lost her mind. And then we wound up buying this place instead. So for me, I guess because I did actually try to go home again, I don't really get that nostalgia as much now, especially because it has changed the area around it. Like I don't recognize it anymore. Like there's big ass movie theater right next to my old neighborhood, which I would have loved when I was a kid because that was one of my favorite things. We had the Apollo Twin Theater back in the day was within walking distance. So for $2.75 on a weekend, I could go watch whatever movie I wanted to watch, and my parents didn't care because they weren't home. As long as I could find the money, they didn't need to know.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in a time when kids were feral. I don't think my mom knew where I was from like 1986 to 1991.
Yeah. Same.
You just show up for dinner.
Not even.
No,
Yeah.
not even that. I was usually the one making dinner.
Right.
Yeah. No, it was the same for me for sure. From a young age. Yeah, you just out. I'm out. Going off on our bikes. Call you from someone's house later.
And it was, I mean, and even when my mom was home, it was like, why aren't you outside with your friends?
Yeah.
Get out of my house. Okay.
Yeah. Lynchburg in the 80s and early 90s, it was, there was no chains. It was, the drugstores were mom and pop, Tom Jones, Pearson's, shit like that. The diner counters in the drugstores and, no Kmart, no Walmart, none of that shit. I mean, it was just now you go back, yeah, it's all the big chains. Now it's all CVS's and Walmarts and like you said, big movie theaters, and downtown is all built up. It's nice restaurants now, and yeah, feels different.
I grew up in a town of probably less than 500 people.
Wow.
So it was small town. We had a town of about 9,000, 20 miles north, and a town of about 9,000, 20 miles to the south. And that's what I grew up in. Didn't really start moving to quote unquote bigger cities. Wausau was like 35,000 when I lived there. Point was about 17, 18,000, but they had, influx of college students. Then we moved down to Waukesha and then moved up towards Green Bay and then back down towards Waukesha. So kind of staying on the periphery of the big city, but nice area where I'm at now. So I rather enjoy where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite part of that, the smaller community compared to here, because I did both, and then is that there's that sense of community. It's a continuity when people have lived there and their parents went to the same school and their grandparents went to the same school, and then a place like Florida, it's like I moved here and nobody's from here. I'd say 90% of the kids I went to high school with
all came from somewhere else.
Yeah, from somewhere else. They moved here in elementary or middle or whatever. It's like nowadays, some people are born in South Florida, but in the 90s, like nobody was born in South Florida in the 70s. You know what I mean? So it's just very transient. There's still no real sense of community here. You just kind of feel like everyone's passing through or from somewhere else. It's the vibe you get. There's collective energy is different.
That's kind of the interesting thing about living here, because where I live, I am in an unincorporated part of McLean County. So I'm right outside of a very small town and a not so small town. Purcell is about 7 miles to the east of me, and the town of Washington, where my granddaughter goes to school and where my son graduated from, is about 4 miles to the north of me. But the interesting thing about that little town is it's so small. You guys ever watch the Hallmark Christmas and holiday movies? Like even just once, where like the whole town is just totally decked out. I live that. Like, and it's funny because one of my second cousins moved into the town, and so my cousins were in town the other day. So we all got together on Halloween and just walked through the town, and it was literally like we were walking through a freaking Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
All the houses were decorated. Everybody was out. There was apples. There was hot apple cider. There was hot cocoa everywhere. It was just amazing. And it's the same thing for Christmas. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of like living in small town America. And that's honestly one of the things that drove me to do what I did about 14 months ago and just pull the pin and start trying to figure out how to do this full time, come hell or high water, because I realized what I was starting to try to fight for. And that was to not only save things like that, but to remind people that traditions matter. We've gotten away from that so much. Traditions matter. The things that they don't teach you in school anymore, they matter. There's a reason they didn't want the kids to know about these things, though, because it was so easy for them to teach an entire generation that America was an evil, racist, asshole country, because they didn't want them to know that, yes, America has scars, America has blemishes, but she's done some amazing things. And that's the thing that over the last 9 days is finally started to give me hope again, is seeing so many people that have come out after the election that have been secretly on our side the entire time, and now they're okay with saying it. Don't get me wrong, I'm still a little bit mad at them because a lot of them have a lot bigger fucking voices than me, and they could have been standing up a long time ago. But I am so glad to see people finally start coming out, at least if nothing else, for the side of normalcy. One of the most interesting things I saw post-election was AOC changing her Twitter profile.
Yeah.
She is now a congresswoman and has removed her pronouns. Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning the culture war. And there's your first proof.
Yeah.
Until 2 years from now, when shit hits fan again and she changes back because she's AOC and she'll bend to the will of whoever pays her the most.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it immediately.
I'm sorry, I just can't trust that woman as far as I could throw her.
Yeah,
No,
but I
but what they're doing, I mean, look, I saw it immediately election night, and the next day, even half the talking heads on CNN and MSNBC, they're going, look, people aren't down with this woke shit, and we've been hijacked by the woke wing of our party, and it's why we've lost the working class normal people. And yeah, they'd be insane to keep going down that road. They're just going to keep alienating people. And even if it's for fake, listen, it was fake to begin with. In other words, 90% of those people never believed it in the first place. They were just going along with it. So, you know, whether they're into all the socialistic aspects and everything, that I do believe, but I don't think most of them truly believe that other shit about boys being girls and all that silly pronoun stuff. And, you know, the thing about when we were kids is whether it was race, gender, whatever, nobody was thinking about that stuff.
No,
it didn't. No. Whatever side you were on, everyone agreed on basics. So it's like we didn't have to speak up when we were younger about how much we loved our country or wanting a secure border or killing, just, you know, destroying racism. It was nobody. It was just, we were all cool. Nobody was worrying about the color of people's skin. No one was worrying about what sex you were, what gender. Nobody gave a shit. And everyone was chilling. And I think there was issues in this country, obviously, before I was around. There was real issues. But I always say, if you look from like mid-'80s, like post-Cold War to pre-9/11, Cold War to 9/11 was like such a sweet spot. Before the internet, everyone was just chilling. Everyone was getting along. I said recently, I was a Jewish kid. I grew up in a small southern town. I never heard a peep. There was 3 Jewish kids in my school. Never heard a word about it. Not one slur, not one anything. Everyone was fine. Everyone was cool. No one was worried about what anybody was.
Well, that was because, honestly, I think a lot of that was because we had different weapons back then to bring things to people's attention. Comics would touch on third rails all the time to make people laugh, but it was also to spark conversation. And they could do it safely because if they got you laughing about it first, it disarmed any animus that you had. And I mean, Saturday Night Live used to be the best about that. I remember the Chevy Chase freaking Richard Pryor skit to this day.
That was literally the classic skit of all skits on Saturday Night Live. And I remember watching that live and just literally falling on the floor laughing because it was just spot on perfect.
I mean, I would play it, but they would get us pulled off of YouTube because Saturday Night Live is a bitch.
Yeah, right.
Well, you touched on the other thing that's the biggest difference I see in today's society, which is, we all used to be able to laugh at each other and at ourselves. And nobody got fucking offended. The stuff that young Gen Xers used to say to each other, you can't say anything now. The people losing the ability to be able to make fun of themselves without being offended is really, and that's the other thing I think that's driven everybody away from that.
The classic story would be a couple years ago. We were playing in our national championships, and I have a friend from Chicago who we are brothers, but we talk nasty trash to each other.
Yeah.
And we're obviously paired with 2 other guys, and we happen to get paired together for this round. And, we're away in the first tee. It's like, he'd go, "Hey, morning, asshole." "Yeah, what up, fucker?" And then we would be, the other 2 guys are going, "You guys are friends?" "Oh yeah, that's how we talk to each other." I love the guy to death. He's like my little brother that I never had. But that's how we talk to each other. But we're not offended by it. We sit and laugh it off. It's hey, who can come up with a bigger drill line?
Anyone I'm close with, girls included, we just call each other dumb shit all the time. That's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to call your friends.
That's how it was, though.
That's how it always was.
That's part of the reason why I don't understand when we turned into this society that got our feelings hurt over every little thing. I don't really understand when that changed or what happened, because when I was a kid, if you got your feelings hurt and they knew you got your feelings hurt, it only made it worse.
Oh, triply. Yeah, triply.
definitely
we've got them. We can double down now.
it's definitely been the last 10, 15 years. It's definitely coincided with all the other woke. It's part of the woke culture stuff for sure. And then the parents who adopted that shit, raising their kids like that, and yeah, it's nutty, and it has the complete opposite effect that they think it has. It's like, let's make sure no one's being offended by words and phrases, and it's like you're making everybody way more divisive and offended just by inserting this shit that nobody was even thinking about a second ago. It's total opposite effect. It's like, kumbaya, let's get along. Well, you're making everyone not fucking get along.
Yeah, I'm the king of the self-deprecating joke, and I put a post out on Twitter and Facebook. I was playing a round of golf, and I had to walk because the course wasn't letting carts out, and it was wet, and I had the umbrella out in the cart, and I basically said, oh, I don't know who this ass clown is that's playing 18 holes in this weather. Oh wait, I'm being informed that ass clown is me. Well, the third in command at the tour went, "You're not an ass clown. I'm making a joke about myself. I'm making myself the butt of the joke. Anybody who knows me is probably laughing their ass off at that. It wasn't meant to say, oh well, I'm an ass clown. No, I'm not. I mean, I'm just having some fun with the situation I was in.
Of course.
Well, I mean, we also grew up watching folks like Rodney Dangerfield. That was his entire shtick.
Yeah.
We also called each other, and still do, with the people. Like, I'm like, it's funny because I was going to say, can I even say the word on here? We call each other fags and retards, and it's like nobody means it derogatory towards an actual gay person or a mentally challenged person or whatever. It's like you're giving those words so much more weight by making everybody tiptoe around it.
I mean, and that's just it. By joking around about it, by using it the way we were using it, it was like we were removing the power of those words to make them to where they weren't the boogeymen anymore. And then by them basically just, well, you can't say that word. You shouldn't say that word. That's not a nice word. You know what? Maybe it's not a nice word, but the world's not a nice place.
It's not a nice word to call. Even on The Office, Michael Scott, I don't know if you guys watched The Office, but he had that famous line. He goes, you call your friends retards when they're acting retarded. You don't call retarded people retarded or whatever. I don't remember how he phrased it, but yes, no one ever used it in other words, we called each other retard every day, but I never heard anyone call a mentally challenged kid retarded. Not once.
Yeah, exactly.
For whatever that's worth.
I don't know. I got called retarded a lot, and I consider myself mentally challenged. So, but no, I think one of my favorite things, and I think it was a couple of weeks ago, was Elon Musk weighing in on somebody and calling them the most subtarded thing they had ever seen. So that's my new favorite.
Well, on Twitter now you could say it again.
I know. But,
one of the funniest tweets
a whole new thing.
The day after the election, somebody tweeted, it was just such a simple line. It said, you can say retarded at work again, or you could say retarded at the office again. It was just such a simple line, but everybody knew what it was referencing.
See, Orty agrees with me. I am. He knows.
And we wave to our fellow Amish.
Even if you assign the left the most inauthentic motives, they're gonna have to get away from all that shit. It'd be suicidal for them not to, and they'll never win another election again. And that's even the AOCs of the world are doing it. That, like you said, that speaks volumes.
Don't tell them.
Well, yeah, true, right. All they have to do is not be insane. Well, let's keep them insane, because I'd rather have I would rather have Trump and other people running the country other than Kamala in that ilk. I
mean, and the irony is, with as pissed off as we've been for the last 4 years, they actually did us a favor. because we wouldn't be on the track to undo most of this stuff if we hadn't gone through probably the worst 4 years this millennium so far. And not only that, if they hadn't managed to do what they did with 2020, which now if you look at the numbers, it's quite obvious because the surrounding elections look about like this one. And 2020 just sitting there going, hi, why are my numbers so much higher than the other 5?
Right?
And everybody's like, oh, that didn't mean anything. That was just because of mail-in voting. Guess what? They can still mail-in vote now. It didn't happen. So
11 million votes just disappeared. Right? Okay, I believe that.
there was a rapture of retards. That's what happened.
It's really it's wild to see it and to think that Joe would be the guy to bring out the historic numbers.
Yeah, no. I just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think there's anybody in the Democratic Party that could ever bring that kind of number out. I mean, certainly not Joe.
No, I mean, look, guys,
if
like
Obama couldn't do it, ain't nobody gonna be able to do it.
Obama had a real popularity, real support and fans. Bill Clinton was extremely popular, had a ton of support. And even if you look at it like, look, the last 2 elections, if we're being honest, Joe, the last 3 elections, honestly, nobody was excited and sitting home as a Hillary fan. No one was excited and sitting home as a Joe fan or a Kamala fan. That's a very small percentage of people. It was Trump versus the Trump haters the last 3 elections. I'd say 80% of the votes from Dems are, people that are just going to vote blue no matter who, or it was votes against Trump. There's nobody sitting home going, I'm a huge Joe Biden fan or I'm a huge Kamala Harris fan. They did that with Obama. There was huge Obama fans. There was huge Bill Clinton fans, but they haven't had someone since Obama. Those last 3, no one's been excited about those candidates.
Well, that's because Obama cleared most of their bench.
Right.
Which is ultimately what led us to the position that we've been in now. But the other reason they did us a favor is because if they hadn't done what they did in 2020, he would have been hamstrung for the last 4 years he was in office and not been able to do much of anything because the momentum never would have shifted because they would have just kept hounding him and hounding him and hounding him. And they might have even turned enough public opinion against him if he had been in for 4 more years. He might be on his way to prison right now.
They'd be on his 5th impeachment hearing.
Yeah.
5th impeachment hearing. They'd already have them all lined up. As soon as this man leaves office, we've got this trial, this trial, this trial, this trial. And they still tried to do it anyway. But that's just it. Like him or hate him, the dude did something that everybody thought would be impossible. And nobody thought he was going to pull this off. And he still managed to pull it off. And now you've got the left that, when we were like, there's something hinky with this election and had proof, they're like, well, obviously Elon Musk used Starlink to cheat because he predicted the outcome of the election 3 hours before anybody else knew it.
I thought he'd pull it off. I've been saying a long time it's going to be a blowout.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, everyday average people. I started. I never wanted to say it out loud, but I actually started trying to be pretty hopeful about 6 months out. But I always jinxed it. So anytime anybody asked me, I was like, I am not making a comment.
I had a good feeling. I had a good feeling going into election night that it was going to go the way it did. And as as I said on the air here during the coverage, watching first, Georgia fall and then North Carolina and then Pennsylvania, it's like, okay, now it's good. We're getting back to some sense of normalcy with the country. But I mean, even now you see what's happening in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, which is the absolute biggest fucking shit show in the history, openly defying their Supreme Court, and the fact that they haven't been let out in cuffs, it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm with you, EJ. Once I saw the early voting and registration numbers, and then heading into election day, I was more and more confident than ever, and I was telling, I go, yeah, it's going to be a fucking blowout. The only reason I was even slightly nervous is the shenanigans. If you could have told me this is a straight up every single vote in the country is bulletproof, I wouldn't have had a shred of doubt at any point, to be honest. I mean, that was really the only thing
We
that
left
ever
the air.
Pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
But listen, what Trump did in 16 and what he did again, and they show those clips, the going back, all the Dems gloating in 16. This guy's never going to be president, even if he wins the swing states. He can't flip the blue wall, and it's impossible. And for him to flip, it hadn't happened since 92 for any GOP, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. For him to do that, and the other places where he became, the GOP should just be down on their knees sucking this guy's dick for eternity. No, Mitt Romney's and John McCain and these stuffy old fuck, they were never going to change the map for the Republican Party. In fact, they were going in the other direction. And for Trump to change the whole demographic, for him to expand the tent and bring the working class, who those guys are all Democrats my whole childhood, for him to bring them over to the Republican side and to take the Rust Belt and flip those states back to red, they should just be thanking their stars. And they were all like, he's not in 15, 16. He's not a real conservative. He's not one of course he's not. He's a populist. And that's why he was able to do it. And he wasn't even sure he was going to run as a Republican. He was, maybe I should run independent. Maybe I could do it. Maybe I could park this thing even in the Democrat Party. He was the only guy that was going to do that for them. And they don't seem nearly, they don't seem to recognize that nearly.
They're not nearly grateful enough, in my opinion.
No, because they weren't going to do it without him.
Well, it's part of what drives me crazy, watching all of the people that, the people that have been in the game for a while that are just having their heads explode, even on our side over his picks. I'm like, dude, to the victor go the spoils. Let the man have his picks. Let's see what they do. And then we can figure out if we need to be pissed off or not. Because I'm sorry, at this point, I'm fine with turning all the bulls loose in all the government China shops because I'm tired of their bullshit.
Yeah,
It's driving me nuts. Even people on our side are like, I can't believe you picked that guy.
The Matt Gaetz pretty goofy, but I'm with you. The reason he went with Gaetz at AG, because if there's any position where he needed a real bulletproof, loyal motherfucker, where he's like, this guy is not gonna turn on me no matter what. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean and that's part of it. But I mean, and look, I have personal issues with Matt Gaetz. You can go find them on my profile. I excoriated him when he was doing all the shit with McCarthy. I have big issues with Gaetz, but Gaetz is an asshole. And right now, it's like I've been saying for the last 6 months, I want assholes that are on my side in the rooms that I can't be in.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of everybody saying, oh, we'll fight for you. And then the doors close and it's like, who's getting on whose knees first?
Yeah. This is why I think the Thune being the majority leader could be not good, because he is more beholden to McConnell than Rick Scott would have been.
I don't understand something. Maybe you guys can explain it. Why is Senate Majority Leader limited to those three dudes?
Those were the ones. Those were the ones that decided to run was the problem. But so here's my take.
I'm asking for real. I don't understand the process. Like, isn't it open to the entire Senate? And why?
Yeah, they still have to throw their hat in the ring though, and those were the only ones willing to do it.
No one other than those three even wanted to be Majority Leader.
No, would you want to be in the middle of that mess?
I wouldn't want to be a senator, but I mean, I would think those power hungry, there'd be a few more out of the 52 or whatever.
So what usually happens is they have a meeting ahead of time to find out who all's interested, and then they kind of do a straw poll to figure out who's going to even get anywhere near the number of votes that they need, and then they pick those and then they run with them.
Gotcha.
So that's probably what happened there.
That was my whole thing. Everyone's going, it can't be Thune or whatever. It's got to be Rick Scott. And I'm like, why is it only two fucking guys? I don't even understand.
It goes really back to Thune and Cornyn being more McConnell guys, and we were.
I don't know if Thune is anymore though. If I'm being honest, I don't know if Thune is anymore. I know he was, and I can see all kinds of shit in his timeline. But apparently, one of the reasons why Trump threw support behind Thune was because Thune was okay with the idea of potentially getting some of these things through recess appointment, just getting them done.
Well, yeah, they all had to pledge that to get any support from Trump. Had they not, then he would have gone after him right out of the gate. So they all had to pretty much go, yeah, we'll definitely agree to doing this. I would have preferred Scott, but I'll give Thune the benefit of the doubt and see if he's gonna follow through on what he has said that he's gonna follow through on. It's nice to see some people are lining up behind Gates, but you look at some of the polls from other senators, and they're saying, oh, there's like 10 Republican senators already not going to vote for him. All right, well, good. Congratulations. You just signed your primary challenge.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, fucking God damn it, why did his name Thomas Massey of all people was standing there with a press gaggle just the other day, and they were like, well, do you think he's going to get confirmation? Talking about Gates, and he just turns around and looks at him and says 2 words: recess appointment. He's Attorney General, deal with it.
Yeah.
I think the internals of the party have already told the people that matter how they're going to get this stuff done. And I would be really surprised at this point if they don't. Now, and I see Steven in the chat saying he'll be Mitch 2.0. I don't think Trump's going to allow that. And the other thing is, even if he starts trying to do that, at least for the first 2 years, I fully expect JD Vance to go grab the gavel and take over.
Yeah,
because he can.
Yeah, I've heard theories,
and I would expect him to do that. Now, as far as MD in the chat, he was asking, or he says he doesn't understand Gnome at DHS. Gnome at DHS makes sense if they're planning on doing what I think they're doing, which is unspooling DHS. Because when she goes in and starts unwinding things, and everybody's like, "Ma'am, you can't do that. You've heard about my dog, right? You want to be next?"
Well, again, they'd be crazy. Congress would be crazy to not embrace, because again, without Trump and Trumpism and that specific brand of populism, they don't have this election. They don't have the majorities. People aren't voting for the old guard Republican bullshit. And the only reason that he got this mandate is because it's a whole different brand of thing. And they should embrace it, because that's what people are voting for.
Yeah.
Even the RFK stuff and the health stuff. I saw this stupid panel just the other day on one of these news channels, and they were trying to say, these Republicans, they're not going to like it when RFK, they might like his anti-vax stances. They're like, but they're not going to like it when he's trying to make food healthier and all this stuff. Michelle Obama tried to do that with ultra-processed food in the schools, and Republicans were against it. I was like, that's your fucking dad's Republican Party. Every Trump voter I know is insanely excited about getting all the shit out of our food and making us healthier, and forgetting even the vax thing at all. They're just so out of touch with the popular wing of the country even wants. It's not even Republican, Democrat. People are just sick of the uniparty. There's mostly independents anyway. I mean, it's the independents that won in the election.
I remember watching RFK's speech when he endorsed Trump, and just being mesmerized at how passionate he was about making everybody healthy again. And I say, give him the ability to do it. Things land. I mean, somebody was making the statement on one of the shows I was listening to. You look at people even 50 years ago, and you don't see the amount of obesity problems like we do today. I mean, hell, I know I need to lose about 50 pounds because I'm way too big for what I should be. But it's let's give the man a chance to
that is even your fault. You know what I mean? Like, that's in Europe. It's really the one thing we should be regulating more is all those chemicals and dyes and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
European countries banned that shit long ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we put it in everything. We regulate every other industry, but yet when it comes to our health, which is the most important thing, they just go, fuck it. Let's just let them put all this crap in there. And yeah, I mean, I don't think people are eating more than they used to. We're just eating a much worse quality of food. So everyone didn't become obese because everyone became an overeater.
Well, part of it is, I mean, there is a little bit of that, because if you'll notice, restaurant portions are freaking huge, but the restaurant portions are huge because they expect people to take leftovers back to work with the container with the freaking Texas Roadhouse logos and everything else on it, to get other people to come back and eat later. And then you've got people like me that just eat the whole fucking thing. But no, I still think if our food was better for us, it would be different. I mean, because I have lost weight, and basically at the height of COVID, I was up to 315 pounds. It was the heaviest that I have ever been in my life, and it was driving me nuts because I got to the point where I could only go about 15, 20 steps before I needed a chair, a walker, or something, because I was wheezing worse than fucking Fred Sanford trying to have a heart attack. And so I finally just started looking into things, and I found some supplements that worked out pretty well for me. And I found things like Balance of Nature that works pretty well for me. And as of today, I mean, I've kind of plateaued a bit. I usually stay between about 250 to 255 to 258, depending. But I mean, shit, in the last year, I've lost almost 65 pounds. And I can get up now and move without it hurting as much. Even my kids noticed the other day, we were walking through the store and they were like, "Dad, you haven't asked for the basket once." I said, "Yeah, no, because I don't need it anymore."
There you go.
They're like, that's amazing. But I mean, it's just one of those things, because I don't think a lot of this is our fault. But this is and the whole reason I bring this up is because one of the worst things we ever did was put food and drug under the same agency.
Right.
Because what they figured out is if we put all this extra crap in their food, they're going to start going back to the doctor to figure out why they don't feel well.
Yeah.
And then the doctor, instead of taking care of it, is just going to be like, well, we can put you on this, we can put you on this, we can put you on this. And their insurance is going to take care of it. So they're not really going to care, because they feel better for 5 minutes while they take the pills. And then when the pills wear off, they just take some more. And I'm telling you, that I think is a lot of what's going on, is we have become the very thing that we used to try to fight. Everybody talks about crony capitalism. The problem is that doesn't actually exist. Crony capitalism is basically just another word for socialist government overreach. So when you've got the same agency dictating what can go in your food, being lobbied by the same people that are wanting to put everybody on all kinds of fucking medication, there's a huge conflict there, in my opinion.
George Carlin used to tell the one of the great lines talking about drugs and stuff, and he said, "Now they've got drugs for kids. We'll call it St. Joseph's, 2 in the mouth." Boom. And it was like, you're starting them young. That was classic.
Well, now
George
they all
Carlin was far ahead of his time.
Yeah, they all got to answer to RFK now. That's going to be a very interesting thing.
So yeah, I'm telling you, I think George Carlin let the secret out of the bag a little bit with Bill and Ted's. I think George Carlin might have actually been from the future. I'm just saying. Dude was right way too often.
How about corn? I mean, they finally started to get away from it. The corn syrup, sugary drinks in general are just the worst. But that was also a government industry plant with the corn subsidies, switching from sugar to corn syrup and everything. I mean, your body doesn't even know what to do with that shit. We used to drink soda like maniacs when we were kids, and
some of us still do.
No, listen, but it's a different drink.
It's different now. It's different now, and that's one of the things that kind of got my attention, because that was what, when I was growing up, when I was a kid, fast food wasn't really what it is now.
No.
So, but for me, for the longest time, it was like, well, I ate it when I was a kid and I turned out okay. So I think they'll be okay too.
Right.
And then I started looking at the labels and I'm like, dude, this wasn't like this when I was a kid.
It wasn't poison when we were kids. It was just greasy. There's a huge fucking difference. Yeah.
I mean, it's like you go to Europe and you get McDonald's French fries. There's 3 ingredients: potatoes, salt, and beef tallow.
Well, I was just saying, when the Europeans come here, you know how many people I've heard and seen say that they'll spend a couple weeks here and gain
5 pounds
just from being here for a few weeks or whatever. Eat more. Yeah, because they're eating the same stuff they feel okay eating in their own country. Even the sodas, look at the soda ingredients. Yeah, there's no reason that we can't just put it back to how it was and say, sorry guys, we're banning all these terrible chemicals and you can't give it to people. People act like that's such a radical thing. And they act like this guy's some crackpot. It's like, why is RFK the only one who even talks about that shit? It's like you guys are arguing about all these weird issues that nobody cares about, yet when it comes to our health, the primary thing that I can't go to the store and get a plant, I have to buy some special organic. Organic shouldn't be a thing. It should all be organic. Why do I have to choose to spend twice as much to get the one that doesn't have the poisonous pesticides in it? That doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Ban that shit. If it's not good for you and it's causing issues and cancer is through the roof and heart, everything. The cancer numbers, that lady on Joe Rogan recently, she's talking about like, I don't even remember. It was the majority of people are going to get some sort of cancer, more than 50%.
Yeah, just the number of people in my life that have been touched by cancer. My late ex-wife, my late mom, my late sister-in-law. I mean, it was just all of them. Somebody I work with is going through bouts of cancer now. It's like it's everybody's getting it.
Right. And how much of that is because, and they go, well, prove it. You can't make a direct correlation and this and that. It's like, well, why are we even not just playing it safe? Why are we even fucking around with that? Why do we have all these poisons in there? If we know this is a bad chemical and it's not healthy and we're only using it because it's cheaper and it makes something more flavorful and the people manufacturing this thing are saving, 10 cents on a unit or whatever. It's like, that's the motivation. I think everybody would be happier and plus the cost would come down anyway. And then just overall net on people being healthier.
Oh yeah, that's the part that drives me nuts, because that's all I ever hear is our food's going to get so much more expensive if we stop using all these chemicals. For the short term, it might.
Short term
as we're phasing it out. But once the cheaper alternatives aren't there, supply and demand is going to drive the price again. And the simple fact of the matter is, when people start feeling better, they're going to be able to be out doing more things again. I mean, hell, we're so close to being Wall-E at this point. I just saw a freaking motorized wheelchair that has been invented in Japan that looks exactly like the fucking Wall-E chair. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
The money people would save in healthcare alone would more than counterbalance it, and healthier people just are more productive and earn more anyway.
But that's just it. They don't want us healthier.
Right.
Because we are subsidizing the medical
people
industry
sick people make the hospitals money.
I get why those industries are, and maybe the lobbyists and the donors are why, but I guess my question is, it's like, why is no one in our government making it a cause? Why does RFK have to sound like a crackpot who's talking about theory and everyone's busting on the dude like, oh, he's way out in left field? No one else seems to give a shit. They talk about we're going to get pharmaceutical prices down or whatever. Okay, that's great. How about just making people need less pharmaceuticals? Like, nobody talks about that. It's a non-issue. He's the first guy that really just loud and out about it. I don't remember any main politician
there hasn't been
railing on about the fact that we need so many pills in the first place and that we need so many medical procedures in the first place. Nobody ever wants to get at the root cause of everything.
I mean, and that's something else that drives me crazy, because you're watching all the MSDNC and Communist News Network talking heads talking about how you better get your vaccines now before RFK Jr. makes them illegal, blah blah blah. And then they're like, well, he has this outlandish claim between correlations between vaccinations and autism. Look, something has caused autism to go through the roof. Can we not find out what the fuck it is and stop it? Maybe start with what we think the most common causes might be, rule those out, and keep looking till we do find it, instead of, well, that's you can't prove it.
Rick, you took the words. I just saw another panel. Every time I see a panel where they call RFK a quack for saying that the vaccines are causing autism, I always want to jump through the screen and go, what do you think caused it? Oh, like you said, they can't prove it's fine. What's their they don't have an alternate theory for why we went from 2% of kids were autistic to 20% of kids. Like, what's their
in our lifetimes alone? When I was a kid, it was like 1 in 1,000.
I didn't know any of the kids. Now everyone I know says their kids on the spectrum. I know part of it is the diagnostic tool is broadened or whatever. Fine, but yeah, do they have an alternate theory?
I mean, and even if it's wrong, you can disprove it. If it's wrong, prove it wrong. Look into the data, figure out if that's what's causing it. I know there's also been some people that have claimed that the rise in use of acetaminophen during pregnancy has possibly linked to so many kids coming out on the spectrum. Can we not just, I mean, we fucking spent millions of dollars putting shrimp on treadmills and $1 million figuring out why monkeys fling poo. I'm pretty sure we can use some money to find out what's causing autism and figure out how to stop it.
JT said in the chat that, yeah, they expanded the definition of autism to be a spectrum and paid the schools more per student and made more meds. Autism.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it.
You know, we didn't have autism when I was growing up.
Well, same with
hyperactive. I was hyperactive, and basically what caused me to behave was my father going, if you don't knock it off, I'm going to whack the shit out of you.
Well, right. I was just going to say ADD, ADHD, same thing. When I was a kid, there was like one kid on Ritalin, not, fucking half the class on, what's the main ADD drug everyone takes now? Having a brain lapse.
Oh, goodness. I don't even know.
What's the main drug every fucking person that I know takes?
Ritalin.
No, not Ritalin. It's the main. What's the main ADD drug?
Yeah.
Well, Ritalin was the one they always wanted to put my kid on. I'm like, fuck you, you're not putting my kid on that.
Right, but kids and adults now are all on what's it called?
I'm still thinking it's Ritalin, but I could be wrong.
Not fucking Ritalin. Adderall.
Adderall. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Everyone is on Adderall now. Adults, kids, everybody, and then there's some other newfangled one. But right, if that shit was around today,
Gordy is like listing off an entire pharmacy.
Everyone is on Xanax.
Well, when Ordy gets to Thorazine, then we'll talk.
Listen, that stuff was around back in the day. Me and all my friends, they would have been trying to put us all on fucking Adderall. You know what I mean? It's like it wasn't a thing. It's just how people are. I still to this day don't even view a lot of that stuff as disorders. I think it's just there are different types of there's different prototypes. There's different biological prototypes of human. We're not all gonna fit into the same mold. And then when you're a little outside that mold, they're like, well, you have this disorder. You have to take this pill. And I don't buy 99% of that shit.
No.
Yeah, I never have. I mean, it's like I said, my oldest, they wanted to put him, and it was Ritalin back then, but they were like, he needs to be put on medication. He has, and back then it was just ADD. I'm like, no, we're not putting him on medication. That's not going to happen. He's a boy.
JC was right. He's saying Rain Man was autistic and those type of kids. That's not what they have now. True, but there's still there's still 10 times more kids with the real Rain Man autism. These kids being more like they're nonverbal till an older age, and like they have the real deal autism.
I mean, one of my grandkids has it, like to the point where he's actually regressed. They had to pull him out of school. He's being homeschooled now, and now he's finally starting to catch back up because he couldn't deal with being around people that he didn't know. It freaked him out, and then he would get made fun of, and he would go further into his shell. I mean, it was bad. I mean, he's like,
he's
like
really
3 years old now, sucking his thumb.
I think it's a combination.
Raptor has a good point in the chat where he says parents don't want to be parents, so they drug their kids. I agree with that.
Well, and they drug themselves.
Yeah.
Listen, 60% of adults are on an SSRI, or they take Xanax or some other benzo, or they're taking Adderall or some other ADD drug, and they're taking Ambien and all these powerful sleep drugs. I mean, the percentage of adults, even when I was a kid, people weren't just all doped up on pharmaceuticals all the time.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Bear with me for a moment because this has to be done. Birthday girl.
Our wonderful Aggie.
But yeah, so this is the woman who says she's not, attractive or anything, by the way.
Yeah, okay, right, okay.
Behavior.
Yeah, she's not attractive, and I'm a Chinese aviator. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I just assaulted the Chinese. Sorry.
We don't care. You know what? You know why we don't care? There's a reason
We're
we don't
not
care.
offended by everything.
No, well, it's because it is too.
China is asshole.
Yes, they are.
Zelda said for the parents who don't want to give their kids any medicine when they need a cough. Yeah, listen, I'd rather have those fucking parents. I'd rather have a parent that's like, here's some Manuka honey, and as a last resort, we'll give you an antibiotic if you really need it, versus here's a pill, here's a pill, here's a pill. We don't even understand these illnesses. I mean, short of antibiotics that are killing infections, everything's a Band-Aid.
Pretty much.
Especially when it comes to mental illness. You could have any array of depression, anxiety stuff, and we just go, here's an SSRI. It's like, do we even understand what's causing the disorder? We just know from a study that this thing lessens the symptoms. All we're doing is treating symptoms. Very, very, other than antibiotics and a couple other things, we're never hitting the root cause. Because we don't know. We don't even know what the causes are. If we knew what caused clinical depression and we knew what caused agoraphobia or, whatever the fuck, sleep disorder, here's an Ambien, it knocks you on your ass and makes you a zombie. Because we don't know what's actually causing that. So we can't even treat the real thing. We're just going, what's the symptom? And let's just hit the symptom over the head with a hammer.
Well, I still think
my sleep issues. I have to stop waking up at 2:00 in the morning, reaching for my phone, and then I don't, spend an hour and a half going, oh, okay, I'll just go down this YouTube rabbit hole. Stop it! Put the damn phone down, you idiot.
Now, I mean, for people that honestly have sleep issues, because I happen to be one of them, I still think it has a lot to do with the Romans fucking with our calendar.
Yeah.
If I'm being completely honest. Because they did. We used to have a 28-day cycle calendar. And they fucked with it.
Zelda wants to come on and argue with me. She's saying in the chat.
We'll do
Zelda,
that another show.
I'm not saying that a lot of those drugs aren't effective, but we haven't cured a fucking thing. We don't have a cure for anything. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. We're treating stuff, and some of it is effective, and I know people personally that have benefited a great deal from being on antidepressants and stuff like that. I'm not saying they don't work. I'm just saying they're not curing anything. And what happens when they go off it? And we're just assuming everyone has the same thing. We're a bunch of symptom treaters.
Well, yeah, and that's my biggest thing with a lot of the illness anymore is we don't cure. We cover the symptoms with a Band-Aid.
Sure. Other than, I was even trying to think of other examples. Other than infections, what else do we even cure?
I mean, really, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
We can't cure a cold. We can't cure any kind of virus. Can't cure a headache. Can't cure seasonal allergies. We're all taking the same drugs that have been around for 75 years. You got a headache, take some ibuprofen. It's like, what can we cure other than an infection? You really think about how amazing an antibiotic is. Yeah, nothing. Pretty much nothing has a cure. I think there's probably a couple examples, but
I mean, well, there used to be, because that we actually used to use medicine to make people better, and then they realized that they could make more money off of these symptoms.
They do help the symptoms. So, like, if I have bronchitis, in addition to the antibiotic, whatever, yeah, the cough syrup works. The cough suppressant works. The expectorant stuff works. But again, it's just helping me get through that. The thing that's killing it is my own immune system. That's what's ultimately killing it. And those Medications are just lessening the symptoms during the time that my immune system is working to kill it.
I went through about 6 weeks of having the cough from hell I just could not get rid of. And it took 4 trips to urgent care, 1 trip to my regular MD before we finally got the right combination of stuff and 1 heart attack scare to finally get the right stuff to knock this crap out of my system. And I haven't had a problem since.
Well, I'll tell you what's amazing and that I swear by now. If you ever have throat, cough, that type of stuff, upper respiratory, Manuka honey is no joke. I mean, you can go down a long rabbit hole with the ratings. There's some cheap stuff, but if you go high, it gets very expensive. But I'm trying to remember the acronyms. It's got like I wish I had it in the room with me, but it has 2 different ratings on it. And when those numbers get high enough, that stuff really kills like 99% of bacteria. And it's straight. Only comes from New Zealand. Doesn't taste great. But I always keep some high-grade Manuka on hand. If I even get a little bit of a scratchy throat, I'll take a spoonful of that, or I mix it into my tea. That stuff's amazing. You should definitely keep a jar on hand. That stuff for me is better than any prescription strength cough syrup or anything like that. And it's actually killing the stuff as well.
Goddamn hippie.
Not being Manuka's been around forever, man. People swear by that stuff. I only got onto it the last several years, but it's really good. And these wellness tabs too. I have these wellness tabs. They have every fucking 10 times more zinc and D and all that stuff than you'd ever need, all the vitamins. But then it's like 50 different berries and things in there. You know, they say take 3 of those a day just when you feel fine. And then when you're sick, you can take like 6 a day or whatever. I'm actually looking at a bottle of those right now. I should read off all the ingredients. That stuff. Between the wellness tabs and the Manuka honey, I feel like I don't take any prescription meds. It's like, and it's not even, I was the same way with the vaccine. I was just talking to someone about this. It's like, maybe I am more anti than I give credit for, but just for myself, I don't want chemicals. What do I want chemicals in my body for? You know what I mean? It is your own immune system that kills everything. I'll take supplements. I'll take natural stuff. But I don't want pills. For what? I'll take when I have a bad headache. I'll take Excedrin and stuff like that. But that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, that's why one of the things that I started looking into were natural supplements to help kind of deal with some of the things that I could feel coming on with age. And that's why, I have the stuff that I take now pretty much every day. I've got different supplements that are all natural that help your body boost your testosterone again. I've got the all natural fruits and vegetable stuff that I take every day. I've started putting collagen into my coffee because I'm getting old man skin, which fucking sucks. I walked into a table the other day and peeled off a layer of skin on my shin. And I'm like, when the fuck did I get so old that bumping into a table took a layer of skin off my shin? When did that happen?
I got a good male supplement, male like as in the sex male supplement too recently, Rick. Mofo or whatever. I got beef tallow stuff from them as well. I take a tallow thing, but this has like they have the male and the female version, but it has cow testicle and all that shit in it. It's got actual testicles ground up into the capsules.
Yeah, I think I'll leave that to you.
And the female one's got like fucking cow like fallopian tube and ovary and shit in there. It's I don't know.
So I'm reiterating. I'm reiterating again at this point. Goddamn hippie! But I have a question. What do you do with beef tallow? You said you get beef tallow from them. Is this for cooking or do you do something else with it? I'm confused now.
It's just a tallow supplement. You're supposed to take 6 a day. You're just taking tallow, eating it straight.
Why would you?
Because it's really good for you.
It's beef grease.
With protein. What's that?
It's beef grease. Why?
Tallow has a ton of health benefits, and beef liver and all that other stuff they're putting in there.
I mean, if If you're just gonna do that, you might as well just buy beef tallow and cook in it. Same benefit.
That's a lot of work, though, Rick.
MD that may have the line of the night.
Listen. I should go down and grab these bottles so I could tell you what's in there. But just to tell you real quick, beef tallow, including immune support, bone health, cellular function, and skin health, improves blood pressure, body composition, prevents diabetes, provides you with essential fatty acids, metabolism, etc., etc. It's not just grease. Excellent source of vitamins A, D, E, K2, weight loss, heart health, on and on and on.
And how much are they charging for that? Just curious.
I mean, there's 10 million. If you just Google beef tallow supplement, you'll find literally 100 brands that are selling beef tallow supplements. Here, you know what? Well, we're on. I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna go to my Amazon. I'm gonna pull up the ones I ordered here.
Well, while you're doing that, I think MD has the line of the night. I love a nice fettuccine with fallopian sauce.
Hang on a second.
Classic. Absolute classic.
Funny thing is, I think we saw it at the same time because I was putting it on the screen while you were talking about it.
The brand I get is from, and I went down a rabbit hole before settling on these guys, Ancestral Supplements. The male optimization one, the ingredients are grass-fed testicle, grass-fed prostate, grass-fed heart, grass-fed liver, grass-fed bone marrow. And that stuff will get your blood flowing there. And this grass-fed beef tallow one that I got was $32. And the only ingredient is grass-fed tallow, 3,000 milligrams per serving.
Now, is that coming on a pill or is that?
It's a capsule with like powder in it. Yeah.
How many servings in the bottle?
It's like a month's worth supply. So $30 a month will get you on the good tallow.
Interesting.
It's the same company, the Ancestral dudes, Ancestral Supplements. They make the tallow. In fact, they have a ton of things. I bought their fish egg stuff. Let me see something here.
Now they're just trying to outdo each other.
Right?
Casey in the chat. Trust me, you do not want to eat corn-fed prostate.
Listen, all this stuff, it's natural. It's part of an animal. You know what I mean? It's part of the food chain. You know, you think back in the day they were avoiding the prostate when they were eating the cow, you know? I got the tallow from them, the male optimization, and I got their wild caught fish eggs. But they make a lot of other shit.
Cool.
I think I'm weird now.
Another good one. I'm from Scottish descent. My ancestral supplement is whiskey.
I'm German, Irish, and a little bit of Scottish. My whole goal in life was to get drunk and take over the world.
According to Meta, beef tallow not only has A, D, E, K, all those vitamins or whatever, improves your skin, your hair, your immune function, anti-inflammatory properties, weight management, stable fatty acids, less prone to oxidation, whatever the fuck, improve nutrient absorption, healthier skin and hair, increased energy, immune function, etc. Yeah. I don't know. You know what? Honestly, I go through different supplements, but there's an account on Twitter who's like a tallow account, and all she does is talk about tallow stuff. And I was like, I never thought about tallow because I'm with you. I just thought it was like beef fat. And so I went down a tallow hole one day and I ended up ordering the tallow, and then I get the testicle pills as well.
Okay. This sentence has earned one of this is the first one of the night, but you've earned it. Giggity giggity. Giggity good. Tallow hole and testicle pills earned the first giggity of the night.
Uh, yeah, I don't have a comeback for that one.
Night Raptor, in case you haven't left yet, I saw you said you were leaving. But Stephen in the chat, the Scottish word for whiskey is waters of life.
Yes, whiskey.
Yeah. What was that old Irish proverb / joke? The Irish were going to take over the world, and then they discovered alcohol.
Right.
They also make a beef liver, which liver is obviously really good for you.
See, that might be about the only way I would be able to get the goodness of liver. I can't do liver.
I can't either. And
I
the
can do livers. I've done those. Those don't bother.
liver's one of the one things I won't eat. It's disgusting. But that male one has the liver in it too, and then they just have a straight liver one. Yeah, liver's amazing for you, but I'm with you. It tastes disgusting. My family loves chopped liver. I think it's the grossest tasting thing ever.
Yeah, I'm good. No. Can't do it. Can't do fish. Give me a nice steak. Thank you very much.
If you don't eat fish, you should at least be getting like some of those fish oil supplements, like the omegas and stuff in there. That stuff is really good. And those, you can get those at any grocery store, like really good stuff too. That stuff's good for you. Because fish really does have a lot of benefit. Because the omega-3 or omega-6, those fatty acids, the fish oil supplements are really popular for a while now.
Yeah, my dad takes one every day.
Yeah, they're good for you, especially if you're not eating. If you eat a lot of seafood, you're already getting a lot of that. But salmon is really high in it.
Well, what concerns me is the seafood that's good for you is so damned expensive that if you get a hold of stuff that you think you can afford and you actually start eating it, you realize it has all this shit in it that it never should have had in the first place.
It's almost cheaper to get the supplements. Like I said, so like you go, oh wow, that pill's $32 for those pills that only last you a month. It's like $30 to get me a meal at a diner. Right. One meal.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm getting a month's supply of the straight dope best part of the meal for the price of one meal. That's how I look at it.
Well, I mean, and that's why I started doing Balance of Nature and the few other things that I do. I mean, Balance of Nature is a bit more expensive. It's about $60 a month, but then again, I'm getting basically 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Who the hell can say they do that for $60 a month?
Exactly. No, same thing. There's a greens one I take from a different company. I can't think who they are. Same thing. Probably around the same, $30 for the month supply or whatever, but you're getting the same as if you were eating greens every day, which would be way more expensive.
But that's the thing. And that's one of the things that I hope they change, because that stuff shouldn't be expensive. What should be expensive is all the shit that they've made super fucking cheap.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff shouldn't be expensive. It shouldn't. I mean, dude, I was talking about this the other day, and this is another thing that I really hope changes sometime soon. Because if you need any more proof that we were, and hopefully are about to come out of, a serious bread and circuses age, just go to Walmart, because you can find a 55-inch TV flat screen at Walmart now for $155.
Yeah.
You can't fucking get milk, eggs, and cheese from the grocery section for about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, I'm exaggerating, but still, I bought like 5 things at Walmart from the grocery section the other day and spent almost as much as they wanted for a flat screen TV.
No, it's insane. I went to Publix like a couple weeks ago, and it was like $400 and something.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah. No.
And it's like after a week, you're like, oh shit, there's no food in the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
it's not. I always remember my whole life thinking, okay, to stock up the place with groceries, you're spending like $100, $150, and it lasts you. And now it's like you can really go spend $300-$400, and it's like
it's gone in a week, and
you don't know what like all these, the alleged low price leader. Once they started to do advertising, their prices all went up to hell, and it's like, hey, there's no place cheap anymore.
Well, I mean, and somebody brought this up in the chat earlier, and I meant to bring it up then. But one of the things that never really cued me in because I was too young, that we were probably on a way to a problem, is when there was a brand of ice cream that started selling itself as nothing but milk, eggs, sugar, and cream. And that was Breyers. And somebody brought up Breyers the other day because if you look at the packaging now, it doesn't say milk; it says milk product.
Right. Yeah.
So
No, nothing has
even
good.
they've gone away from it. And I mean, and you've got to be careful because I've even noticed on like when I'm because I use apps a lot to shop now because I'm always working. So I've got Walmart Plus and I've got another one from Kroger's that delivers to my area too. So a lot of times if I can't get to the store, I'll just pull that up. But I've noticed like there's been a couple times that I've tried to buy like ice cream or something for Gracie, and half of them just say, dairy product.
I'll tell you another.
I'm not buying that.
I'll tell you something even sadder. Even our milk ain't milk anymore. When it's homogenized and pasteurized and all that stuff, that's another thing over in Europe. You go to UK, they're still drinking real milk out of like the glass bottles. They make fun of us that we have like these gallons of milk. They go, wait, you have like these giant. They get the real milk. They're getting real raw milk. They're getting it, and they say that it's for health reasons that they got rid of it here because of what do you get like if you drink raw milk? There's listeria. What is it? Listeria.
Listeria.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. But that's
it's
so rare, and that we can actually counteract a lot more than giving people milk that's supposed to last 3.5 weeks in your fridge. It's not even supposed to last that long. And that's why all these people that are like lactose intolerant now, it's because the kind of dairy that we're getting, and it's the processes that we're putting it through. It's not, even our milk isn't milk. No one wants to address any of that shit.
Right.
We said what's cheapest, what's going to sell, and what's going to last. The reason all that stuff too is ultra processed is because it lasts forever. It shouldn't last that long. You shouldn't be able to have milk in your fridge.
Well, that's like Europeans laugh their asses off when they come over here and see our eggs in our refrigerator.
That's what I'm saying. They don't, dude. They still have like milk. If you live in like a small town in England, they still they're delivering milk like we did here in the 50s. Like they're still living like we did in the 50s when it comes to their meat and eggs and veggies and potatoes and stuff. And there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, sure, maybe it's not as efficient and cost effective and everything else, but the fact that that's what they focus on instead of people just being our healthiest best selves, that's crazy.
Well, believe it or not, gents, right now we are, at least according to my live on X feed, we are currently number 3 and number 5. So that's pretty awesome in my opinion. But yeah, no, I know there's a fight coming up, so I honestly planned on probably only going for about another 30 minutes since everybody came on early because I want to be able to get set up to be able to watch too, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, gotta watch that thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump off here pretty quick myself. I need to get some rest because I have indoor golf session at 7 and outdoor round at 10.
Ooh, look at you!
Yeah, well, I'm a golf freak.
It's addictive.
You could have left the word golf off. We still would have got it.
Well,
just kidding.
Yeah, Steven said eggs and different because we wash our eggs and removes the protective coating. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I get that, but it's also, it's not just that. The reason they wash our eggs and they remove the protective coating is because the eggs that are raised in the fashion, or the chickens that are raised that do the eggs in the fashion that we do them, their shells are so much thinner and they can't hold anyway. The reason it works in Europe is because they don't have freaking chicken farms the way we have them. They don't have thousands of chickens living in a 2-foot by 2-foot crate laying as many eggs as they can in a day until they just croak over and then they get sold off into fucking chicken meat.
Factory farming. It's true.
I mean, there's just so many things.
350 fucking million people. That's the problem too. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's true too.
But imagine if there was 10 million of us.
Well, let's not start talking like the lefties that say we need to reduce our population, sir.
No. Imagine in a country of 10 million people, how much more easily you could actually do and implement a lot of stuff. You know?
Oh, so I didn't know that. Sorry, JC distracted me in the chat. He's like, Spaniards are kind of gross. They reserve leftovers at restaurants.
Do you refrigerate your butter? I only found out recently that a lot of people don't even fridge their butter. They just leave it out. It's still good for a couple weeks on the counter. I didn't even know that.
Well, so
We used to do that
what
for
I
a
do,
long time. We always left it out, and then
Yeah.
then all of a sudden we went to refrigerating it.
well, so I usually buy the 4 sticks at a time, and 3 of the sticks will remain in the refrigerator. But when we get ready to put butter out, it goes
Yeah.
in a butter dish and stays on the counter.
Right.
Yes, I never.
You don't have to actually have to refrigerate it.
Yeah, I didn't know that till probably like 2 years ago. I still refrigerate mine, but I had no idea that was even a thing. People thought I was dumb. I was like, "What are you talking about? It's dairy. It's gonna go bad." Or like, "No, it's butter. It's fine."
Well, you also think it because you buy it from a cold case. So you're like, well, this needs to be refrigerated because it's in a cold case.
Right, exactly. Anything I buy cold, I assume needs to be cold. But then also, it's like whatever you grow up doing, you just think is normal, and then you think whatever other people do is weird. You know?
Yeah. Well, the other reason why a lot of people started refrigerating butter is because most people don't use real butter anymore. And if you leave margarine out, it starts separating into the oils and just looks fucking stupid.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's one of the things that we found back in it was my now ex-wife that started having us use real butter because she started looking at all the ingredients on the margarine tub, was like, no, we're going back to butter. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, I don't care. But yeah, I mean, if I can do it, I usually I have a neighbor that raises cattle, and she'll go in every so often and get one processed, and I'll go in half and just be like, she's like, don't tell anybody I did this, and I'm like, I'm not saying a word. Nobody knows who you are.
I mean, this aspect, and not that I'm some beacon of health by any stretch, but it's the most exciting part of me for this new admin is that it's in the like I said, nobody was even talking about it. They can make fun of RFK Jr. all they want. Everyone's talking about it now, even if it's just them trying to combat the shit that he's saying, or it's become part of the mainstream conversation for the first time I can remember in my life. As has actually shrinking down the government, which used to always be a thing. The fact that we're talking about shrinking the government and taking an axe to some of these departments and all the health stuff, it's amazing. For those two things to be at the top of an agenda it's amazing, and I don't remember it ever being that way.
No, and I mean, well, it's like you said earlier, because one of the things that I found the most humorous is once Robert F. Kennedy came on board and everybody started talking about making our food healthy again and everything, all the leftists, and you mentioned this earlier, were like, well, when Michelle Obama wanted to do this, everybody, I'm like, dude, that was a generation ago.
It was a generation ago. Right. We've come a long way. The people that voted for Trump are not the same people that were voting for John McCain.
I mean, hell, a lot of the people that voted for Obama voted for Trump this time.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's the same people, those same Rust Belt working class people that want their kids to be healthy. It's the same people voted for Obama, voted for Trump. That's absolutely right.
And to me, that's the most exciting part, is because I'm going to be honest. Yes, I am right of center, and a lot of people consider me far right because I'm pretty outspoken, and that's, for some reason, that makes you far right in a lot of people's opinions. But I've always tried to be more towards the center. The problem is the center never moves. The Overton window keeps moving. So the further the Overton window moves, the more to the right I go. And the same thing happened with Joe Rogan. The same thing happened with Elon Musk. Neither one of them consider themselves anything near Republicans. But at this point, and Joe Rogan said this today in a tweet where he was showcasing, I guess, a conversation that he had with Alex Soros, which, Musk, if you can hear this, don't trust that son of a bitch any further than you can throw him. I don't care how conciliatory he's being right now. But I kind of saw the point, because he's like, look, the Democratic Party needs to reconnect with the American people. You've left them behind. The party that resonates with the people is going to be the one that carries their voice. And right now, that is the Republican Party. And I just distilled like an entire 4-thread thing into like 2 sentences, because that's not exactly what he said, but that was the gist of it.
There used to be a senator from Wisconsin, William Proxmire, who used to have the Golden Fleece Awards for wasteful government spending. Proxmire was a fairly solid liberal at the time, but he would be considered a conservative icon today.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Rogan will still tell you that he's a liberal.
Well, I mean, Joe Rogan is a liberal in the classic sense of the word. The problem is the leftist hijacked a word and changed the meaning. Because you all three of us would be considered classic liberals, because the classic liberals of the day were the free thinkers. They were the ones that were looking at what society was telling you was normal and saying, well, we think maybe it might be something like this. That's what it was. That's where this came from, was from the Renaissance. That's where everything started going from flatter to no, we're going to finally start finding out why everything has round shadows, because can't be flat if everything has round shadows. That doesn't make any sense. But that's what I'm saying. Anytime from 2020 until just yesterday, anytime you have to trust the science. If we trusted science, we would still think the world was flat.
We've never not. I was going to say, by the way, 30 years from now, when Orty's talking about the parties changing, there will be a real example of it. But
dude,
we've never been fucking right. That's what I try to tell people all the time. I go, you pick any point in human history, and whatever we believed scientifically, we turned out to not understand the full picture and to not actually know what the fuck we were talking about. So you think, and everyone thought they knew. So you think we're different? You think we're any different than every human that ever lived, that we think we have the answers? That's what drives me crazy. There should be a standpoint of humility where we're starting at a point going, hey, we know some. We understand that we don't understand the big picture, and that's the whole point. Like, why not be open to all these new ideas coming in? Because inevitably, we will be wrong again about whatever it is we think. Even something simple. Yeah, we know the Earth's round. We don't understand our place in the universe. And as we learn more about that, we'll go, oh, weren't we stupid to think X, Y, and Z?
So since we have officially transitioned into what would normally be the going mental portion of the programming for the evening, I want to change topics for just a moment. Did you guys, and I put this in a couple of different rooms, but I don't know if you guys have seen it. There was a group that has figured out how to make artificial intelligence using actual human neurons. And they have taken those neurons and built simulations to the point where there's actually artificial intelligence living in a simulation right now that thinks it's a butterfly.
I saw that, but then I went down a rabbit hole of people debunking why it's not the same as an actual brain, even though like they're using brain matter.
I mean, I get that, but I'm just saying, I mean, think about this from the perspective of one of the shows that we did recently, where because it's just like us. We come into the world, we learn through tactile sensations. That's how this artificial intelligence has been tricked into thinking it was a butterfly. It was put into a world and had to learn its environment through sensations, and it's spending its life thinking it's a butterfly. If that doesn't freak you out,
no, it freaks me out and it makes me sad. And yeah, I mean, it's just like all those movies. If you have some sort of robot that's self-aware, yeah, it's going to come with feelings and emotions and everything else, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's been part of the idea of artificial intelligence for forever. Hell, I remember I think it was still in the 80s, there was the episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation where they actually tried to determine whether data was considered Federation property or not. And it's been something that we've wrestled with for forever because, they're like, well, he can't express emotion. And he may not have been able to express emotion like the rest of us, but once you got used to the character, you could see that he actually did feel things, even if he didn't understand that he was feeling them before he got the emotion chip from his dad. But I mean, that's kind of the whole point of this thing is we are seriously about to unleash a Pandora's box.
Yeah.
And we're not even talking about what this could become. I mean, that's like right now, if you're on X, you have access to artificial intelligence right now if you're a premium subscriber.
Yeah.
And that thing learns. And I know it learns because I use it all the time to make images. And I used to have to give it 15, 16, 17, 18 prompts to get what I want. And now that I've done it a lot, it's down to like 2 and 3.
You're talking about
yeah. So I know it's learning as it goes. And I don't know how I feel about that.
I stopped using Google because of Meta. Really. It's 10 trillion times more efficient. Instead of searching through forums and finding, I can ask it just the most wildly specific weird shit, and it immediately just puts together paragraphs for me in just such a succinct way, and it's not copying and pasting that from Wikipedia or something. It's just pulling from some conglomerate of sources, and yeah, it's getting way better. I really stopped Googling things. I just go to my Messenger chat and I ask Meta whatever question I have.
I have not gotten that far yet.
Oh, dude, it's so basic. So, like, if you so I wanted to change something in the setting in my car. Let's say you want to turn the oil change notification light off in your car. If you Google that, you're going to end up in all these Forerunner forums and all these things. You literally just go into Meta search bar, give me step-by-step instructions on how to turn this thing off, and boom, it does it. Do this. It's so much more efficient. Google's going to be AI soon too, because it's good. The traditional search engine is going to be dead. Everyone's going to switch to AI.
Well, Google tried AI and it went racist, so they're starting over.
As long as it posts boobs, I'm good.
I saw a video recently of one of these little like AI robot thingies. It looked like I don't know, they were testing it, and it was like,
and they were trying to knock it over. I think I know what you're talking about.
Knock it over, right? And
dude, I wanted to go fight them.
Yes, that's what I was going to say, Rick. Just from a visceral standpoint, I was already viewing this thing as this innocent creature. And I was like, stop being cruel. Stop kicking this poor little guy, But it's like, it's just a computer, but it crosses that line fast. And imagine when it starts to look like organic material and not like something made of steel. I felt bad for it when it was made of titanium.
Yeah, Boston Dynamics does that shit all the time. There's companies in Japan that do it too, and they're savage, man. They will just like get a whole circle of people around, and they're like testing the balance of the robot. So
that's what it was.
And,
they were all,
and they'll tell them they're seriously like, do everything you can to try to knock this thing down because we're trying to test it. And I'm watching them do this, and I'm just like wanting to go in there and be like, leave this fucking thing alone.
Yeah, me and you saw the same thing.
I blame Star Wars. Because I grew up thinking droids were cool, and now I'm watching them abuse them, and I'm like, leave this fucking thing alone.
You were crossing into
Get to my robot! Stop!
We're crossing into some uncharted waters. And what are the other countries? Even if we regulate it here and put laws and stuff, it's like we're not stopping the world from fucking around with that tech. We're not stopping.
No.
Well, that's just it. Japan and China are already light years ahead of us with the robotics.
Yeah,
China's got like 7 different companies putting that shit out right now.
Exactly. Those guys are going to do whatever they want. They do rely on our chips to some extent, but at some point they'll just have unlimited resources there too. All right, Elon Musk really said it best years ago when he went in front of Congress and he was warning them or whatever, but I think he said it on Rogan's podcast, not the recent one, but the first one. Because they were talking about AI and all this stuff we're talking about, and he goes, look, I don't know if it's going to be good or bad. He said, but I know that it won't be up to us. I just thought that was pretty succinct. Because it's true. We don't know if it's going to go bad, but I don't think we're going to have control over that.
That's
all I know.
Fly in the ointment.
Well,
when will it go bad?
Well, I mean, it's inevitable that it will. I mean, I'm just going to be honest that we already have a creation story to fall back on. As we get closer and closer to playing God, look at what happened when God played God. It went badly. Just saying.
Right. Well, and then like we've talked about on other shows, and I know you talk about a lot too, who's to say that we're not a product of something like that?
I mean, I firmly believe that we are. I mean,
Even forgetting the simulation, who's to say that some ancient alien civilization didn't go, hey, let's put brain matter in a petri dish, and then out popped humans millions of years later? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, and it's things that we talk about on juxtaposition all the time. I mean, there's Planet X that, is supposedly in an elliptical orbit within our solar system that only comes back about every 2,500 years or so. And that's where they think we actually came from. And that's why they think a lot of the things that are in our scriptures are on the clock that they are, is because of how long that orbit usually takes.
That's interesting.
And
but it is like 1,000-year orbit, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's right at about a 2,000-year orbit, and that's why they think that a lot of the things in our scriptures are on the clocks that they are, is because of that orbit. And look, I mean, even the book itself says that, you don't understand everything yet. Someday you're going to be able to, but right now it's like you're looking through a glass darkly. And I firmly believe that pretty much every creation story that we have in our history started from a common point, and then it turned into the telephone game. As everybody started spreading out, more and more things became more and more common among the different cultures. But everything still basically starts the same, even if some of them are weird, like the native cultures that apparently say our entire universe or our entire galaxy is on the back of a turtle. I found that interesting. But
we don't even, like you said, we have a planet in our own solar system that we can't even, to think that we understand any of this shit. I just pulled up this thing I had written down a while ago, because I always use like these analogies for how big everything is. Think about this for a minute. If you're traveling at the speed of light, which obviously we can't even get fucking within 1/10 of that. If you were traveling with the speed of light, it'll take you 1 second to reach the moon, 3 minutes to reach Mars, 8 minutes to reach the sun, 100,000 years to leave the Milky Way galaxy. And to reach the next closest galaxy, Andromeda, which is the closest one to us, it would take you 25 million years. Now, there's trillions of galaxies with trillions of stars in all of them, right? So if you go at the speed of light, you could get to the sun in 8 minutes. It'll take you 25 million fucking years just to get to the galaxy next door to us. Not to mention the other trillion galaxies beyond that. We're like, yeah, we got it all figured out. Take some ibuprofen.
I mean, we don't have anything.
You got to get those dilithium crystals working. We get the warp traffic going.
We don't know fucking shit about shit. And people just go, whatever, because they can't. What are you going to do? Just sit there and ponder that all day and not go about your life? So it's like, I don't know. I feel like you should always kind of keep that in mind in the background. It helps keep other stuff in perspective. I mean, shit, they just had a congressional hearing basically confirming that we have biological material.
Oh yes, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow.
Nobody cares. Nobody gives.
Well, no, it got swallowed up by the rest of the news. Nobody cares.
Like, we care more about Matt fucking Gaetz and his pompadour fucking head than we care about that they just said there's definitely aliens living in our ocean. And that we have bodies. It's like nobody cares. They really care way more about who got appointed, that Pete Hegseth has a Nazi tattoo. There's 10 million more tweets about Pete than there are about the aliens.
I'm 1,000% sure the guy with "We the People" on his arm has a Nazi tattoo.
It's not a Nazi tattoo.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
It's actually a Jerusalem tattoo, oddly enough.
It is, yeah.
The people that they call white supremacists, by the way, are all like hardcore Zionists. That's what's so funny, too. Like, Stephen Miller's like a fucking, comes from like Orthodox Jewish parents. And he's like hardcore Zionist. Like, do they know what white supremacists, who they really hate the most?
Yeah.
You want to call them something else, I'll argue it with you, If you want to say this guy's racist or something, which even that I don't believe, but to use specific terms like white supremacy and so forth, it's like, this dude's super pro Israel and those people are Jewish, and he'd be the opposite of that if he was a Nazi.
Yeah.
Well, don't you know that all Jewish people are secretly white, bro?
It's debatable. Listen, I'm not big on this whole "we're not white" thing. I see both sides of that. You really have to get into the weeds of are we white, but I get it.
Yeah, MD's got a great point too. He's like, the problem is way too many people care way too much about things like the Masked Singer and shit.
Yeah, right?
But I mean, but think about this for a second, because remember, like in 1945, I think was when they did the whole Roswell thing. I think it was in the 40s. I don't know, but so the whole reason they supposedly faked all this shit was to stop the hysteria. And now they're admitting that it's been true pretty much the entire time, and everybody's like, what about Matt Gaetz?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
what was
look,
the line? What was the line in Men in Black? Tommy Lee Jones said something along the lines of, we kept this secret so people wouldn't lose their shit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, apparently nobody cares.
Turns out nobody even gives a shit. Right. See, I always felt like, well, see, that's still what I think they might be doing, which is easing us in, because, listen, what if 20 years ago they just went, here's an HD video of alien shit that we recovered, and they've been here for as long as human civilization, and people might have actually rioted and looted all the stores and killed each other. So maybe they are just...
Problem is they're already doing that now, so I couldn't
Right.
get anywhere.
They are just... Because at this point, listen, at this point, if they went on TV and said, here's indisputable proof and footage of these creatures and their aircraft and everything else, people wouldn't go crazy. And it's because we've been kind of slowly desensitized to it, I think.
Well, not only that, so you'd probably have a small portion that would try to go a little bit nuts over it. Then you'd have probably about 30-40% that would be like, that's fucking awesome. Then you'd have 50% going, that's fucking AI and we know it.
Right.
Don't fucking lie to me.
At this point, half the people will go, that's a fake psyop and it's not true. Yeah. And actually another big portion of the people believes it's a spiritual thing, that it's demons and angels and that kind of shit.
Yeah, I would say that you're wrong, but you're not. I mean, and that's one of the biggest things that I hear all the time when I start having conversations with people about that. They're like, you're inviting demons into your life, right? And I'm like, I don't really think so. But demons aren't vampires. They don't need invitations.
I think whatever it is has been here probably longer than us, if not is related to our very origin somehow. So...
Well, I mean, I'm a firm believer that we are probably on the 4th or 5th iteration of civilization, because the Earth is a lot older than anybody wants to admit, and our creation stories all say about 7,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that, but the reason that I can still believe my scriptures for the most part and reconcile that is because if God's been around for forever, who the fuck knows how long a day is to that?
And who's to say that humans in our exact form, that we're not all over the place?
Again, I'm pretty sure we're
about Planet X, we can't even explore. 100 million years at the speed of light, 100 million light years just to get to Andromeda. We don't know what the hell's out there.
I mean, we're probably honestly kind of spread out all over the place. And I think that's part of the reason why people have been fighting it for so long. And a lot of the powers that be have been fighting things for so long, is because Musk is getting us onto the verge of being extraplanetary. And these people don't like it, because if we start spreading out, they lose their control.
My whole thing is too, when it comes to the president, and now that Elon's in his ear, maybe Trump, Rogan asked Trump about aliens at the end of that pod. I was hoping he would, and he didn't really. Trump doesn't seem curious about it at all. And whenever I've seen,
he doesn't have to be curious. He already knows.
I don't think he does, because whenever they ask him, he talks about the Navy pilots that told him what they saw and everything, and he seems to kind of believe it. But I don't think presidents are fully read in. But that's my whole thing. That's what I want to say to Trump is, as commander in chief, you outrank everybody. Nobody can tell you no, right? they can try to dissuade you like they did with the JFK files and shit like that. But if he really wanted to put that out, they couldn't tell him, no, sorry, you can't do it. They just said, please don't do it, right? If you go to Area 51, you're the commander and fucking chief, and you go, let me in, and I want to see every room. I want to see it all. You have show it to me. The general that's running that, he can't be like, sorry. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm dismissing you. I'm relieving you of your position. Who's the next guy in line? Now you let me in the fucking room. You know what I mean? I would do that day one as president. I go to Area 51 and go, show me everything.
Well, it's not Area 51 anymore because everybody knows about Area 51.
Roswell, whatever it is. I would want to see it as listen.
They've moved on to like Area 52 now.
I'm sure there are I'm sure there are sites that he wouldn't even know to go to say show it to me. Like you said, there's probably black sites all over the place where we're hiding the real deep dark shit. But
dude, I knew they were moving on from Area 51 when it made it into ID4. I was like, yeah, they're not even using that shit anymore. They wouldn't be talking about it this much in a movie.
Well, you still can't get anywhere close to those facilities. I mean, they'll shoot you.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, that's why I was laughing my ass off a few years ago when everybody was like, let's storm Area 54. I'm like, I hope you brought the best.
You ever see these videos? People get within like 20 miles of that place and like some unmarked SUV pulls up. Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm not saying there's still not stuff going on there because I'm pretty sure there is, but I think a lot of Area 51 started as like for Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works, and the rest of them doing their experimental shit. And then I think it became more of what it's been renowned for today. And I do firmly believe, since they're admitting that we have things like that now, that they probably were being housed there. And like I said, and for the record, if you want to get in on it tomorrow night, either one of you are welcome because we're going to be doing a panel about this shit tomorrow too.
Who's the congresswoman that's super into this shit now? Tweeting about it nonstop. That whole. She's great. She's like a super.
You talking about MTG?
No. Dark-haired lady.
I don't know which one you're talking about because I mean I've seen MTG tweet about it a couple of times, but
no. This woman, like her whole timeline is filled with nothing but alien stuff, and she's like a super hardcore Trump supporter too. I'm trying to find her name. What the hell's this woman's name? Nancy Mace.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
She's super into this shit, and she's like a dog with a bone that we're gonna get to the bottom of this stuff, and I like that. We need people like that in government. The transparency is everything. People just want real. People just want authentic. They don't want to feel like it's them and us, and then it's our government. It's our government. The idea that they keep everything fucking hidden from us, it's like it's the antithesis of the design of the whole thing. It's ours.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the exact opposite of everything the founding fathers wanted. MD, you make a great point. The problem with eyewitness reports is that many studies show eyewitnesses to be wildly inaccurate. And I mean, that's true of everything. I mean, that's part of the problem with doing some of the work that I used to do. Eyewitnesses were always like the meat and potatoes of prosecutions, and then you realize that half the time they don't see half the shit they think they do.
Memories are your own memories insanely. Yeah, everyone's memory is insanely unreliable. You ask 3 people experience the same thing, you'll get 3 different stories.
All right, well, gents, we've only got about 30 minutes till the fight starts, and I know the old man in the room was wanting to get to bed kind of early.
Yeah. Yes. The old man needs to hang it up for the evening.
I appreciate.
So I can only do 8 hours and 22 minutes every 4 years.
Let me just say real quick one last thing. The authenticity is key, and if you look at the election, every issue aside, that's why she got stomped. Is that you had the most authentic guy running against the most inauthentic woman on fucking earth. And people don't want to be talked to in some rehearsed bullshit way anymore. They don't want to feel like that the version they're seeing of you is totally manufactured and different than what you must be like in real life. And love or hate Trump, people go, okay, this guy's being himself in front of me.
Yeah.
And that counts for fucking everything. And unless the Dems or whoever get a real person that talks like a real person, no one's winning elections anymore that talks like these idiots.
And well, then that's the thing. There's so many things that have been changed because now people really are craving authenticity. We've also, I mean, like I said, we're seeing the back being broken in what I'm now calling the zombie media because they're not sucking everybody's brains anymore. You've got the ground being given in the culture war, which we've been losing for a decade.
Yeah.
Where suddenly now even they're realizing that the pendulum has gone too far. But that's why I'm saying at this point we can't just say, okay, we've no, because here's the thing. We've got 2 years to prove to these people that we're the adults in the room. If we had 2017 was a lot like this cycle. The only thing that's really different is a lot more people are behind him now than were in 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
It's really the only difference. So if you've got the Republican Party now coming in going, well, we don't like this pick and we don't like that pick and we don't like that pick, then why didn't a fucking one of you run for the presidency?
Yeah.
Bingo.
That's my problem with all of it because it used to be really simple. Unless the dude was a fucking window licker, the president got his appointments.
Right.
And then they figured out the rest later. Unless there was just something completely egregious that blocked it.
He's gonna get them all. The only one that's to me is questionable is the Matt Gaetz one, but the rest I don't think there's going to be any issue at all.
Yeah, I mean, there's a theory about Matt Gaetz that he may be like a sacrificial, and eventually he'll get bumped over to FBI, and somebody else gets the AG spot. But I still firmly believe that Trump has a deal being worked out to just get everybody pushed through on recess appointments so they can just hit the ground running.
I think everyone will go. He's the only one I have any little doubt about. But yeah, I'm with you.
All right, EJ, where can folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter at golf EJMWI63.
And Mr. Katz, sir, where can folks find you?
You can find me in the club.
Whatever, Diddy.
That's video.
I know.
John Katz 79 on Twitter. And you can find my podcast, which I haven't done in a minute, but I will be getting back into John Katz Show, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, etc. And you can find me here every other Friday with the one and only Rick Robinson, going mental. How about you, Rick?
It's cheap. It's easier to not find me. You can find me tomorrow night pushing buttons for Front Porch Forensics first, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. Then 10 p.m. Eastern, we're doing a makeup edition of Juxtaposition, which because of breaking news became a UFO panel because there's all kinds of news that got swallowed up by the other news cycle this week. So we're going to do that as a makeup. Then we'll get back to our regular topic at our regular time next week. Monday, I will be off. Tuesday through Friday, you can find me doing the Rick Robinson Show from noon to 3. Tuesday night, I'm on the Manorama panel, which is now simulcast through KLRNRadio. Wednesday night, I do production work for the Conservative Curmudgeon, except for the last Wednesday of the month where we do Toxic Masculinity, and that's at 8 p.m. Eastern. I then will be, for right now, producing and co-hosting for the Whatever Show, 9 p.m. Eastern, then Rick and Orty at 10 p.m. Eastern. Thursday night, Jen and Rick, 10 p.m. Eastern. Friday night, usually here with Aggie Reekin at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And then again, as John mentioned, every other Friday night with him at 10 p.m. Eastern doing Going Mental. When I'm not doing all that, you can find me as a contributor on misfitspolitics.com, theloftusparty.com, twitchy.com, and I also produce the Loftus Party podcast, which drops on Tuesdays. You can follow along with the network at KLRNRadio. Our new news arm at Digital Beacon US, and me at RowdyRick73, and John and EJ are both falling asleep on me.
EJ, do you remember? EJ will remember this real quick. Do you remember when they introduced Tiger at?
Hell yes.
That's what it always reminds me of when Rick gives his rundown, and Phil goes like, Phil Mickelson's like, "Come the fuck on," because they're just naming like, everything the guy ever watched.
I do remember the classic.
That's what it always reminds me of.
All right. On that note, folks, now that they're giving me shit, which is well deserved. Okay. We are going to get out of here for the night. I'll be back again tomorrow night pushing buttons for Front Porch Forensics first and then doing Juxtaposition. We're going to go watch the fight.
Go tight.
I figured since it's a crossover, we'll go out with the Going Mental outro. So we will see you guys in the Twitterverse and on the streams later. Bye, everybody.
Peace.
See ya.